Senator Bill Brady, who came very, very close to being the governor 4 years ago, joins us this morning on our Turnkey.pro answer line. Senator, good morning, and thank you for your time, sir.
John, Amy, great to be with you.
I want to start with a published story in the Sun-Times this morning saying that you're about ready, or you're thinking about rolling out some TV commercials, as you did 4 years ago. But they also point out that your gubernatorial committee had about $200,000 on hand last quarter, raised $18,000 from 7 donors so far this year. How effective will that TV campaign be? I would assume that you must have reserve funds setting aside. And when do you plan on starting?
Well, it was very strategic. Like our last election, when we ran about the same kind of program, and we're going to hit the airwaves. But we're going to win this on our grassroots, John. This is just some air support for the grassroots strength that we have as the only conservative team in this race.
It's really tough to combat the big money of Bruce Rauner, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, this campaign has come down to really two campaign race. It's our campaign against his checkbook. But at the end of the day, he can buy all.
You're running against a checkbook.
Yeah. Well, that's about all there is to it, because Bruce Rauner doesn't stand with Republicans on the issues. He hasn't really talked about that many issues. The one he has talked about, he really screwed up in terms of minimum wage, but he won't stand for the taxpayers. I'm the only candidate who will say unequivocally, I will deliver the tax cut that was promised. The rest of them all pander to the Democrats on this issue. We need a governor who will stand with Republican values and principles. I'm the most conservative. Maria and I are the team that's the most conservative, both socially and fiscally. And at the end of the day, that's what wins primaries. And frankly, that's how you win general elections as a Republican in Illinois.
Mr. Brady, do you think Bruce Rauner's really a Democrat?
Well, he's taken Democratic primary ballot. He's supported Democrats. I don't know what everyone's entitled to call themselves what they want, but there's no question he supports Democrats.
Talking to our state Senator Bill Brady.
But let me go back to that. Where's that? I think he supports Democratic issues. He doesn't abide by much of the Republican Party platform.
We're talking here with Bill Brady this morning, AM 560, The Answer. One thing that I really like about your campaign, and I'd like you to elaborate on it for our listeners, because I think it is very, very important. If you want to change the way we do business, not only in Illinois, but in even Republican-dominated states like Texas, where they've done the same thing, these gerrymandering of districts has got to end, and you have called for the adoption of a nonpartisan means for drawing new district boundaries next time around. How do we get that down? How do we start down that path?
Well, we've got a great initiative. We this time have the support of almost every organization, from the League of Women Voters to the Farm Bureau to major corporations and others who are helping us fund the initiative to put on the ballot mapping districts in a nonpartisan way. Right now they're mapped by politicians for politicians' purposes rather than the people's purpose. You're absolutely right. This is an important initiative, as is term limits, as is tax relief. Our campaign's about bold initiatives, and not the least of which is eliminating the State Board of Education.
Let me ask you, though, down to details, if we elect representatives to handle how we spend our money, the other important issues of state, how do we logically or legally, constitutionally, take that power away from our very representatives because we don't trust them to draw the district lines?
Well, that's why we need to pass this citizens initiative and put it on the ballot and make sure we pass it, and that will take the Constitution will preside over the legislature. And there's one area that the drafters of the current Constitution were smart enough to realize, and that is the legislative article should have the opportunity to be amended by the people.
Now, I want to present to you a hypothetical. If for some reason Dan Rutherford decided to drop out of the race, would you embrace his endorsement?
Sure. This is about addition, not subtraction. I would take anyone's endorsement that could help me win this primary and general election.
But do you have any comment about about this alleged behavior?
Well, Dan's got to deal with this as well as the accuser. It's a terrible distraction from this race, but it's also whatever the truth is. It's a terrible situation for either the accuser or Dan, and he's got to deal with that.
Would it be accurate to say, Senator Brady, that if Rutherford goes away and somehow Rauner self-destructs, then here we are with a redo of 4 years ago, you versus Senator Dillard?
Well, Senator Diller's numbers, according to the most recent Tribune, and we've got internal data that shows they're even weaker than that, but he really hasn't been a factor in this race. His inability to support pension reform and really cave politically he supported a similar bill before, but unfortunately all three candidates chose not to support pension reform for their own political interest rather than the people's interest, and that's really hurt him. Not to mention, people don't forget about the ad he ran that brought us Barack Obama as president, saying he'd serve our country well. There's one Republican and frankly independent that thinks Senator Diller's ad supporting Barack Obama for president was a good political judgment.
We posed this question to the senator yesterday. He has received an endorsement from a teachers union here during the primary run. But would you bet that teacher's endorsement would go to Pat Quinn during the general?
I don't know. I think Senator Dillard has a long road to hoe to go up against Pat Quinn, where I've come 30,000 votes close, and frankly, there's a lot of buyer's remorse. Let me just talk about, I think I could get support of a lot of people throughout this state in this election that I didn't get last time. Pat Quinn has misled the public, to say the least, in the last campaign. A lot of buyer's remorse when it comes to a rematch with Bill Brady. I think Kirk Dillard's got a lot of roads to travel before he gets even close.
If your running mate can turn the tide here in the collar counties of Chicago this time around, if all things being the same from 4 years ago, you'd win going away.
You're absolutely right. Maria Rodriguez is my running mate, 8-year mayor of Long Grove, Illinois, dynamic lady, knows how to lead and inspire, and she comes from suburban Lake County. She understands those interests. We make a great team, but we need a team for all of Illinois, not just one area of the state. This state has been under Democratic, Chicago-dominated rule for too long.
Well, Senator, we look forward to the TV campaign whenever you decide to roll that out. And if you'd like to place some advertising on the radio station, we have several salespeople that would love to call you today.
You'll hear our ads on your station.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Have a great day.
Thank you.
There's Senator Bill Brady. Oh, I really shouldn't draw any sort of linkage between a political candidate.
Thanks for coming on today.
And the buying of advertising. I strike that from the record. That was for satirical purposes only. Bill Brady on our turnkey.pro answer line.
If you want to